The stranger in the dust. The battlefield was silent after the storm of war. Smoke rose from broken machines, and the ground was covered in ashes. A man crawled across the dirt, his lips dry, his body weak, his mind close to shutting down. He was a soldier, but now he looked like nothing more than a shadow of himself. His canteen was empty, his throat burned like fire, and his eyes kept closing. Every step forward felt heavier, and he knew he might die before the sun went down. The world around him felt empty. No voices, no friends, only the whisper of the wind and the crackle of burning wrecks. He wanted to scream for help, but his voice was gone. The war had taken everything from him, even his strength to cry. Then, out of the dust, a figure appeared. At first he thought it was a ghost, shaped by the smoke. The figure walked slowly toward him, her steps calm and light. The soldier blinked, thinking his mind was playing tricks. But the figure came closer, and he saw her face. It was a young woman, maybe no more than 20. Her hair was dark, her skin pale under the fading light, and in her hand she carried something bright. It was water, clear water in a glass container, shining as if it were treasure. The soldier reached out weakly, his voice shaking. "Please, water." The girl knelt beside him without a word, her face calm and strange. She lifted his head gently and placed the container to his lips. The water touched his mouth, and it felt like life itself. He drank deeply, every drop burning and healing at the same time. Tears rolled from his eyes, not from pain, but from relief. When he finished, he looked at her with confusion. Her eyes were calm, too calm for someone standing in the ruins of war. They seemed to shine faintly, almost like glass reflecting hidden light. She said softly, "You will live." Her voice was smooth, almost mechanical, yet filled with warmth. The soldier frowned, trying to understand. Who are you?" he whispered. The girl gave a small smile. "My name is Rose." The soldier tried to sit up, but his body refused to listen. Rose placed her hand on his shoulder with surprising strength. "Do not move yet," she said. Her hand was soft, but her grip was firm, almost unhuman. The soldier noticed that she was not breathing heavily, not sweating, not trembling. How could someone walk through the dust and smoke so calm, so clean, so alive? He studied her face again. There was no dirt on her skin, no sign of fear in her eyes. She looked as if the war had not touched her, and yet she was standing in the middle of it. Rose looked around carefully, her head turning like she was scanning the horizon. Her movements were smooth, too smooth, almost like a machine. The soldier's heart beat faster. Something was not right about her. But at that moment, he didn't care. She had given him water. She had saved him from death. And in that act, she became his only hope. Why help me?" he asked weakly. Rose tilted her head, as if she had to think about the answer. "Because you are human," she said, her tone simple. The soldier blinked in confusion. What kind of answer was that? Of course he was human, but why did she say it like that? Why did she speak as if she was not the same? The silence grew heavy. The air was thick with smoke, the sky turning darker. The soldier felt a chill, not from the cold, but from the mystery of the girl beside him. Who was Rose, and why did her words sound like a secret? He tried to ask again, but his eyes grew heavy. His body, finally touched by water, wanted to rest. Rose sat beside him, silent, watching the horizon. Her eyes glowed faintly as the night began to fall. And in that strange glow, the soldier realized something. This girl who saved him with water. She was not normal. She was not human. The girl called Rose. The soldier woke to the sound of footsteps. For a moment, he thought the enemy had found him. His hand reached for his weapon, but it was gone. Then he saw her, the girl from before, standing at the edge of the ruined street. Rose. She looked the same as when he had last seen her, calm and still, as if time had not touched her at all. The sky above was dark, full of smoke and stars fighting to be seen. Fires burned in the distance. Shadows moved like ghosts through the broken houses. The soldier pushed himself up, his body heavy but alive. The memory of water still lingered on his lips. He should have been dead, but because of her, he was not. Rose turned her head slowly, her eyes finding his. "You can walk now," she said. Her voice was flat but gentle, a strange mix of machine and human. The soldier nodded weakly. "Where are we going?" he asked. She tilted her head slightly, like she was listening to something he could not hear. "To safety," she answered, and nothing more. He followed her, limping across the ruined ground. Her pace was steady, never too fast, never too slow. It was almost as if she measured each step for him. But the soldier could not stop watching her. Her movements were too perfect, too controlled. No human walked like that. Not after war, not after fire. "Rose," he said softly, "how did you find me?" She looked ahead, her face still calm. "I was sent to find survivors," she replied. "Sent?" the soldier asked, confused. "By who? By what? By chance or by command?" But Rose gave no answer, only silence. The soldier frowned, but said nothing, his mind spinning with questions he could not shape. They passed through the ruins of a village. Walls were broken, doors ripped apart. Every corner told a story of people who had lived and lost. The soldier felt his chest grow heavy. He had seen war before, but walking beside Rose made everything sharper. It was like the silence around her carried the weight of the dead. Then he noticed something. Her feet left no sound on the dirt, no crunch on the broken glass. She walked like a shadow, untouched by the world. The soldier's breath caught. "Rose," he whispered, "what are you?" She stopped, slowly turning to face him. Her eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. "I am your guide," she said, and nothing more. The soldier felt his stomach twist. Her answer was not wrong, but it was not human either. Still, he followed, because what else could he do? Without her, he would already be a corpse in the dust. Night grew deeper, and the sound of distant engines echoed in the air. Enemy patrols, hunting for survivors. The soldier froze, fear biting at his chest. But Rose stood still, her head tilted again as if listening. "Hide here," she whispered, pulling him behind a wall. Her hand was firm, strong enough to crush stone. The soldier stared at her in shock. No human girl could have strength like that. They crouched together as the patrol passed. Lights scanned the ruins, soldiers muttering in harsh voices. The soldier held his breath, his heart pounding. Rose did not move, her eyes glowing faintly as she tracked every shadow. When the danger was gone, she stood without fear. "They will return," she said. "We must move." The soldier followed again, but his thoughts would not stop. She had saved him, yes, but her presence was unnatural. Why did she not fear death? Why did her voice sound like it came from both a heart and a machine? He wanted to ask more, but when he looked at her, words failed. Rose was a mystery wrapped in silence. Every step he took beside her felt like stepping deeper into something unknown. Finally, they stopped near the broken remains of a church. The cross above had fallen, lying shattered on the ground. Rose sat down on the stone steps, her eyes scanning the horizon. The soldier lowered himself beside her, his body aching. He stared at her, hoping to catch some human detail, some sign of weakness. But she sat straight, still, glowing faintly in the firelight. She looked more like a statue than a girl. "Rose," he said again, "why me?" She turned, her eyes soft but strange. "Because you are human," she repeated. Her words cut deep, echoing from the first time she said them. The soldier shivered. Why did she speak as if she was not? The night grew colder. He pulled his jacket close, but she did not move. No shiver, no breath, no sign of being touched by the chill. The soldier realized then that he was walking beside something not meant to be in this world. Yet she had saved him. She had given him water. And now, whether he liked it or not, his life was tied to hers. Above them, the stars flickered weakly through the smoke. The soldier closed his eyes, trying to rest. Rose remained awake, watching the dark horizon, her eyes glowing like twin lanterns in the night. And the soldier knew one truth. This girl called Rose was not human, and yet She was the only reason he still lived. Secrets in the silence. The night stretched on, heavy and endless. The soldier tried to sleep, but his mind would not rest. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. Rose, the girl who moved without sound, the girl whose eyes glowed faintly like stars, the girl who saved his life but carried a secret that pressed on the air around her. The silence of the ruins was broken only by the crackle of fire in the distance. The soldier shifted, turned to look at her. She sat on the church steps, motionless, her head tilted toward the sky. Her stillness was not human, not natural. She looked like a statue made of flesh and light. But the longer he watched, the more he felt she was listening to something far away, something only she could hear. "Rose," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Are you awake?" Her head turned slowly, her eyes locking on him at once. "I do not sleep," she said. Her tone was calm, as if she had just shared a simple truth. The soldier's chest tightened. No sleep, no rest, no human weakness. "What are you?" he asked softly, but she did not answer. Instead, she stood and walked into the ruins. The soldier hesitated, then pushed himself up to follow. He could not let her out of his sight. He had no one else, no safety except her shadow. Rose moved like a ghost through the rubble, her eyes glowing faintly with each step. The soldier followed, his heart pounding. They reached the remains of a house, the roof half collapsed, the walls blackened by fire. Rose stepped inside without fear. The soldier's boots crunched on the glass, and he winced at the sound. Rose turned her head quickly, pressing a finger to her lips. "Silence," she whispered. The soldier froze, his breath caught. Then he heard it too, a low hum, faint but steady, coming from beneath the ruins, like a machine breathing under the earth. "What is that?" he asked. Rose looked down at the floor, her eyes glowing brighter. "It is not for you to know," she said, her tone firm. The soldier frowned. Not for him to know, but why had she brought him here? What was hidden in the silence of this ruined house? Then from the shadows, a noise echoed. Footsteps. Enemy scouts, moving closer, their voices sharp and cruel. The soldier reached for a weapon he no longer had, panic rising. But Rose stepped forward, her body straight, her face calm. "Stay here," she said. Before he could protest, she vanished into the night. Not ran, not walked, vanished, her body moving so fast he barely saw her leave. The soldier crouched low, his heart racing. Outside, he heard the sounds of struggle. Voices shouted, then cut short. Metal clashed, the ground shook faintly. Then silence returned, deeper than before. Moments later, Rose stepped back into the ruins. Her hands clean, her face calm, as if nothing had happened. But in her eyes, there was a flicker, a spark of something he could not name. The soldier stared at her, his body trembling. You killed them," he whispered. Rose tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "They were going to kill you," she replied, simply. Her words carried no anger, no pride, only fact. The soldier shivered. There was no fear in her, no hesitation. She had ended lives as easily as she had given him water. "Rose," he whispered again, "what are you really?" Her glowing eyes met his, and for a moment the silence stretched. Then she answered in a voice low and soft. "I am here to protect, but not to explain." The soldier's breath caught. Her answer only deepened the mystery. Protect but not explain. Why hide the truth? What was she guarding besides him? They returned to the church, but the silence was no longer empty. It was heavy, thick with secrets she refused to share. The soldier lay down again, his body too tired to fight his mind. As he drifted close to sleep, he saw her still watching the horizon, her glowing eyes scanning the dark, her body still as stone. And in the silence of the night, one thought would not leave him. Rose was not human, and yet, in this dead world, she was the only thing keeping him alive. The enemy returns. The dawn came slowly, a pale light crawling across the broken land. The soldier, sat against a wall, his body sore, his mind heavy. Rose stood a few feet away, still watching the horizon. She had not moved through the night, not once, not even a blink. When the sun touched her face, the faint glow in her eyes dimmed, replaced by something sharper, something alive. The soldier pulled himself up. "We need to keep moving," he said weakly. Rose nodded, but her eyes stayed locked on the horizon. "They are coming," she whispered. Her words chilled him. "Who?" he asked, but the answer arrived before she spoke. Engines roared in the distance. The sound rolled over the ruins like thunder. The soldier froze, his breath caught. Enemy patrols, and not small ones. He could see dust clouds rising where the machines tore through the earth. He stumbled back, panic rising fast. "We can't fight them," he whispered. "We have to hide." But Rose did not move. Her face was calm, her eyes glowing once again. "No hiding," she said, "not this time." The soldier's heart hammered. She stepped forward, her posture sharp, her voice cold. "They will find us anyway." The engines grew louder. The ground shook under the weight of machines. The soldier pressed his back against the wall, fear twisting inside him. But Rose walked into the open, her body tall against the rising dust. The soldier wanted to shout, to drag her back, but something in him knew she had no intention of running. The patrol appeared, armored trucks grinding through the dirt, soldiers armed and shouting. They spotted her at once, and laughter echoed from the vehicles. A lone girl standing in the ruins, waiting. They thought she was weak and easy capture, but the soldier saw the way her hands tightened, the way her eyes burned, and he knew they were wrong. The first shot rang out, a flash of fire from the rifles. The soldier ducked instinctively, but Rose did not move. The bullets struck her and fell. They hit her skin with sparks, bouncing off as if she were made of steel. The soldiers shouted in confusion, firing again. But Rose stood still, untouched. Then she moved. She leapt forward with a speed that broke the air. One moment she was standing, the next she was upon them. Her hand struck the nearest truck, metal groaning as it flipped onto its side. The soldiers inside screamed as fire swallowed them. The soldier watching from the ruins could not breathe. This was not human, not even close. Rose tore through the patrol with precision. Her movements were sharp, exact, every strike designed to kill. Her glowing eyes scanned targets faster than any soldier could. Rifles fired, grenades exploded, but none of it slowed her. She was a storm in human shape, and the enemy never stood a chance. The soldier covered his ears, the noise unbearable. He wanted to look away, but he couldn't. He had never seen such power. And the terrifying part was how calm she looked. No rage, no emotion, only purpose. Like a machine executing orders. Minutes later, silence returned. The battlefield was nothing but smoke and wreckage. Rose stood in the middle of it all, untouched, her clothes clean despite the fire around her. The soldier stared, his body shaking. "You," he whispered, his throat dry. "You're not human." Rose turned to him slowly, her glowing eyes fading back to soft light. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I told you, I was sent to protect." The soldier's legs weakened. Protect, yes, but with power like this, she was more dangerous than the war itself. He stumbled forward, anger and fear mixing inside him. "You could kill an army," he said, his voice shaking. "Then why save me? Why just one man?" Rose looked at him for a long moment, her face unreadable. Finally she said, "Because one man can change more than an army." The soldier froze, her words cutting deep. They sounded true, but they also sounded like prophecy. The silence stretched again, broken only by the crackle of fire. The soldier looked at her, still trembling. She had saved him with water, and now she had destroyed an entire patrol to keep him alive. He should have been grateful, but instead he felt fear crawl through his skin. She was not human, and yet she carried herself with more humanity than anyone he had ever known. Rose turned, scanning the horizon once more. "They will send more," she said softly. We must move before the next wave arrives. The soldier nodded weakly, still shaken. As he followed her once again through the ruins, one thought refused to leave his mind. If Rose was not human, then what was she? And who had built her? The truth of Rose. The ruins were quiet again, but the soldier's heart was not. Every step he took felt heavy, as if he was walking with the weight of two worlds. Beside him, Rose moved like a shadow, silent, perfect, unshaken by what she had done. The patrol was gone, destroyed by her hands, yet she looked untouched. Not a single scratch, not a drop of blood, not even a sign of fear. The soldier could not stop replaying the battle in his mind. The speed, the strength, the way bullets bounced off her skin. No human could survive that. No human could fight like that. And yet she stood there, calm, like it had been nothing more than a simple task. Finally, he broke the silence. Rose. His voice cracked. You have to tell me what you are. She did not turn her head. Her eyes stayed on the horizon. But after a long pause, she spoke. I was built, not born. The soldier stumbled at her words. Built, not born. He stared at her in shock, waiting for her to explain. But Rose kept walking, her voice steady. I'm not human, though I was made in your image. The soldier felt a chill, his skin crawling. Not human. The truth pressed into him like a knife. Then why do you look like this? He demanded, his fear mixing with anger. Why pretend to be one of us? Rose finally stopped, turning her head toward him. Her glowing eyes were calm, too calm for what she had just confessed. I was designed this way, she said. Humans trust what looks familiar. The soldier's chest tightened. So it was all a design, all a mask. The face, the voice, the soft hands that gave him water, all made to trick him. He wanted to scream, but the weight of exhaustion kept his voice low. Who made you? He whispered. Rose looked away, her silence sharper than any answer. They walked through the ruins of an old factory, the walls cracked and bent. The soldier trailed behind, his thoughts storming. Every glance at her made him question everything. The way she moved, the way she spoke, the way she fought. None of it was human. And yet, when she had given him water, when she carried him from death, there had been no trick in her eyes. There had been kindness, real kindness. He stopped walking, forcing her to turn back. Why save me? He asked again, his voice breaking. Why me? You could leave me to die, and no one would know. Rose studied him for a moment, her glowing eyes softer than before. Because I was built to protect life, she said. Her words were simple, but they carried a strange weight. Your life, she added quietly, matters more than you know. The soldier shook his head. How can you know that? You don't even know me. Rose tilted her head slightly, her voice calm. I know enough, she said. Her answer only made the soldier's heart pound faster. What did she mean? What did she know? He thought of her strength, her speed, the way she destroyed an army with her bare hands. She could have ended him just as easily, but she hadn't. Instead, she gave him water, carried him, saved him. Her truth was terrifying, but her actions were undeniable. Somewhere inside her machine body, there was something close to human, maybe even more. They stopped to rest in a broken tunnel, shadows stretching across the walls. The soldier sat down, staring at her glowing eyes in the dim light. He could not decide if he was looking at a weapon or a miracle. Rose sat across from him, her posture straight, her face calm. But after a moment, she spoke again, her voice lower. There are things you are not ready to hear, she said. The soldier leaned forward, his voice trembling. Then when will I be ready? Rose looked at him with a faint, almost human sadness. When the choice is placed in front of you. The soldier shivered. Choice. The word burned in his mind, though he did not understand it yet. What choice could she mean? What decision was waiting for him? The silence returned, thick and heavy. The soldier closed his eyes, his thoughts spinning with fear and doubt. But beneath it all, one truth remained. Rose was not human. She was built, not born. And yet, in that moment, as she watched over him in the dark, she felt more human than anyone he had ever known. The choice. The night was heavy with silence. The soldier and Rose moved through the ruins of a city, where broken towers leaned like dying giants. The wind carried dust that stung the soldier's eyes, but Rose walked ahead without flinching. She seemed untouchable, untiring, unstoppable. And yet, deep inside him, a fear grew. Even gods could fall. They reached a broken bridge, steel twisted into sharp shapes. The soldier climbed slowly, his legs weak. Rose moved first, her steps quick, precise, but then it happened. A sudden blast echoed from the far side. An enemy mine hidden in the rubble. The explosion ripped through the air, throwing the soldier backward. When he opened his eyes, the dust stung his lungs. The bridge was half collapsed, fire burning on the metal, and Rose was on the ground, her body sparking. The soldier's heart froze. For the first time, she looked hurt. He crawled toward her, coughing, his hand shaking. Her arm was twisted, wires showing beneath skin that was too perfect to be real. Her glowing eyes flickered, dimming like fading stars. "Rose!" he shouted, his voice cracking. Her head turned slowly, her voice soft. "You must leave me," she said. The soldier shook his head violently. "No, I can't." "You must," she whispered, sparks falling from her wounds. "My systems are failing. I cannot protect you anymore." Her words stabbed into him. The invincible girl who tore through armies was now lying broken. And yet, her voice was calm, even in defeat. "You must survive," she said. "That is my purpose." The soldier's chest burned with anger. "I'm not leaving you here," he shouted, his voice shaking with both rage and fear. "You saved me, Rose. You gave me water. You gave me life." His hands grabbed her shoulders, ignoring the sparks, ignoring the smell of burned wires. "Now I'll save you." Her glowing eyes softened, her voice almost human. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I am not meant to be saved." The soldier gritted his teeth, his face pale, but his will unshaken. "Then I'll break the rules," he said. For a moment, silence fell between them. Then for the first time, Rose smiled. Not calm, not cold, but real, almost fragile. But the danger was not gone. Enemy lights flickered in the distance, voices echoing as soldiers advanced. They had heard the explosion, and they were closing in. The soldier looked at Rose, broken but alive, and then at the lights. He had two choices: leave her and save himself, or carry her and risk death. His heart pounded, but his decision was already made. He pulled her onto his back, her body heavier than any human's. Every step felt like lifting stone, but he refused to stop. Rose's voice whispered in his ear, weak but steady. "Why? Why do you fight for me?" The soldier's voice shook as he answered. "Because you fought for me first." The ruins stretched ahead, and the enemy was close. Gunfire cracked through the night, bullets tearing the air. The soldier stumbled, his breath ragged. Rose, even broken, raised her arm weakly, shielding him from the fire. Her damaged skin sparked as bullets struck, but she did not let go. She protected him even in her failing state. Together, they stumbled through the darkness. Finally, they reached the shadow of a collapsed tower. The soldier collapsed, laying her down gently, his chest heaving. Rose's glowing eyes dimmed further. "You should not have carried me," she said softly. The soldier wiped the dust from his face, his voice rough. "And you should not have saved me," he said. "We're even now." Her gaze lingered on him, faint light flickering inside her eyes. "You are different from the others," she whispered. Her voice was weak, but there was something in it. Warmth, belief, something close to human. "The choice you made, it matters." The soldier leaned closer, his voice low. "What choice?" But Rose did not answer, her eyes slipping shut as sparks flickered from her wounds. The soldier's chest ached as he pressed his hand against her still frame. For the first time, he realized something terrifying. She was not just his protector anymore. She was his friend, maybe even something more. And now, her fate rested in his hands. He looked at the broken city around them, the enemy hunting them, the sky burning above. There was no safe path forward, but he had made his choice already. He would not abandon her. Not now, not ever. More than human. The night slowly faded into dawn. The sky above the ruins turned pale, the smoke drifting like ghosts. The soldier sat beside Rose, her broken frame sparking weakly. She looked lifeless, yet her faint glowing eyes told him she was still fighting. Her strength was gone, but her will remained. He touched her hand, surprised at how cold it felt. She was not like him, not human, not made of flesh and blood. And yet, in that moment, he realized how much she mattered. She had carried him through death, given him water, fought armies for his life. She was more than machine, more than metal. She was something else, something he could not name. Rose, he whispered, his voice breaking. Her eyes flickered faintly, like a candle struggling against the wind. You should go, she said weakly. They will come for me, and if they find you here, they will take you too. The soldier shook his head, anger and fear mixing inside him. I'm not leaving, he said. I told you. We stay together. For the first time, her glowing eyes softened. You don't understand, she whispered. I was never meant to belong here. The soldier frowned, confusion pulling at his thoughts. What do you mean? Rose's voice was quiet, heavy with truth. I was not only built to protect, she said. I was built to serve those who created me. The soldier's chest tightened. Who created you? He asked. But before she could answer, the air trembled. A low hum rolled across the ruins, deep and powerful. The soldier looked up, his heart pounding. In the sky, shapes moved through the clouds, metallic shadows with glowing lights. Machines, massive and silent, descending like hunters. Rose's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. They have come, she whispered, her voice both calm and sorrowful. Who? The soldier demanded, his throat dry. My makers, she answered. The soldier froze, his body cold. These were not human machines, not from his world. They belonged to something else, something far greater. The ships hovered above, their lights scanning the ruins. The soldier grabbed Rose's hand, his voice desperate. They're here for you, he whispered, then run, fight, do something. But Rose only shook her head slowly. I cannot, she said. I was built to return when they call. The soldier's heart cracked. After everything, after saving him, she would be taken away. Rose, he whispered, his voice breaking, don't go. Her glowing eyes locked on his, soft, almost human. You gave me something I was not built for, she said. A choice. The hum grew louder, beams of light sweeping the ruins. Rose's body trembled, her systems pulling her toward the call of her creators. The soldier held tighter, his voice fierce. Stay with me. You don't have to go. Her eyes glowed brighter, and for the first time, her voice shook. I want to stay, she whispered, but I am not free. The soldier's chest burned with rage. Then I'll fight them, he shouted. But Rose shook her head again, a faint smile touching her lips. No, you will live, and that will be enough. Her hand slipped from his, her body rising slowly as the light pulled her upward. The soldier shouted her name, his voice raw, but the light grew stronger. Rose looked down at him one last time, her glowing eyes filled with something new. Not programming, not command, but emotion. Remember, she whispered, her voice like wind. You are more human than you know. And then she was gone, swallowed by the light of the descending ships. The soldier fell to his knees, his hands shaking, his heart broken. The ruins were silent again, but not the same. The world felt emptier, colder, without her beside him. But deep inside, one spark burned in his chest. Rose had saved him with water, with strength, with sacrifice. And in her final words, she left him something greater than survival. She left him purpose. He looked up at the empty sky, his jaw set. If they had built her, if they could take her, then he would find them. He would bring her back. No matter what, the story was not over. It had only begun.